Happy Friday, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. It's Dr. Barnsley Brown and the Bold Badass Business Owners Show. And I tell you what, we have a very committed guest today because let me just tell you that Entre Hoffman, the doctor of self-worth is in the house. And Andre is actually in an RV, otherwise known in Europe as a caravan, with his whole family traveling all over Greece, and it is like 11:30 at night. Thank you, Andre, for staying up for us.
No worries. I'm glad to be here. Let's
Yes.
start the show.
Yes. We're going to bring such, I've heard your story and it's so moving. And I'm just thrilled you're here with us. And I know that you're going to bring so much inspiration to folks watching. I mean, your story, when you told it to me, it made me just tear up. And so I can't wait to share you with my group. And actually, there are people with us already. Hello, you all. Welcome. It's Friday. And we are lucky to have Andre Hoffman, the doctor of self-worth, with us. So Andre separates people from their limitations. Yeah, which is really needed because we all have them. And especially, I think now coming out of the pandemic, we've all hit up against limitations, even limitations that were in our environment. And it's the work you're doing is just really important. So, Andre, I want to ask you before we get into your story, what is it that makes you feel so in love with the work that you do?
Well, the changes that I see in people's lives, which are fairly sudden and rapid. So I could say the feedback is my best joy every day when I hear these amazing stories, how people are now not being abused, how they
Yeah.
are able to have their voice out, how they are able to show up in their business and multiply their impact in life and of course other areas of life, mostly business.
Wonderful. And make sure you get close to your microphone. I know you're trying to be quiet because your kids and your wife are there, but we want to hear every word of what you say. I know, are you in the bathroom in the RV?
Well, I've got to be. This is the only place
Yes,
proper
I
light.
love it. That's commitment, you all. He's in the bathroom in the RV because his whole family is there and they're traveling around Greece. This is commit. This is what I call commitment. So just remember, be nice and loud. Like think, I say to my clients, think opera, but so that everybody can hear your story because it is so powerful. So I know, well, Andre, first of all, tell everybody where you're from, just, quickly where you're from and um, just a little bit, a few words about yourself.
All right, okay. Well, I'm an earthling. I call myself a non-material, but I was born in Hungary in the
Mhm.
70s, and then I moved around quite a lot. So I lived in Australia for 10 years. I lived in New Zealand for 7 or 8 years, and this is our new phase where I'm bringing my family back to Europe, and we are traveling around to see what feels the best for us as the next place to live. So it's quite a journey, and it will last for about a year or year and a half to really work out what our gut tells us to move to where we want our children to grow up. Yeah,
Mm,
so lots of
that's amazing. So you have such an interesting trajectory already, being born in Hungary, then living in Australia, then living in New Zealand, and now you're all over Europe with your family and the RV, and you're looking for that place that feels right. And I just admire this, Andre, because I don't know many people who would just leave their comfortable life and go out and just be like, yeah, we're going to take the clothes we can get in an RV. How many kids do you have? I forgot.
I've got two of them, aged 10 and 14. And
And
you lot
yeah.
are telling me that, I'm gambling my children's education. And
Mm,
what I normally say is that, they are homeschooled and they're homeschooled in Australia. Not that it matters where we are.
yeah.
and I have no idea what would be the next stage. But the best school is life and traveling,
Mm,
where they're exposed to very diverse experiences and they can explore the world. They just finished playing soccer here. We are in front of the Meteoras. I'm not too sure if you know these limestone massive
mm,
rocks in Greece, and they
mm.
have built monasteries up top. So that's where we've been today.
Oh,
But they
how
love
beautiful.
playing
And
soccer. So
then they were playing soccer there.
exactly.
So you're homeschooling them, which is great, and you're just traveling around Europe and finding the place that feels right. I love this, and it's really a powerful metaphor. I know that in your story, you had something very hard happen a few years back. And so let's just go straight and dive right into it. And on this show, by the way, nothing is off limits. Andre, nothing. Except I'm going to keep saying to you to speak up, even though you might wake up your kids so that we can hear you. Nothing's off limits. You can curse, you can speak your mind. You just share with us what feels like the right thing to share. And I know that it will be the right thing for the folks tuning in. So tell us what happened a few years ago, this story that you shared with me. Tell us about this, would you?
Okay. So the massive challenge that I've been carrying around on my shoulder is this disconnection from my dad, and that was pretty early on in life. I felt
Mm-hmm.
ignored or not loved, and to the point that I was doing everything I could under the sun to to be seen, to be acknowledged, and to be loved, and nothing has worked with my dad. He was, well, I don't want to give him names, but probably he was not able to love himself either. And from that
Right.
point, my whole life went into I've got to prove myself.
Mm-hmm.
And unconsciously, I've been doing that for 30 years. And
Mm-hmm.
I understood there was something wrong. I had these feelings of I don't deserve more. I I couldn't have what I want. All of these negative voices in my head. I was angry at myself. I couldn't even speak in front of two or three people. I couldn't ask out girls, and this was pretty much these patterns were regulating my life in every area. And then I thought, well, I have to fix myself, and I thought maybe traveling will help me. Somewhere abroad, away from my dad, will help. And it didn't. I was carrying
Mm-hmm.
psychological problems everywhere I went.
Yes, yes.
Over $100,000 on trying to find cure, find
Mm-hmm.
therapy, find hypnotherapy, past
Mm-hmm.
life regression, Reiki, everything I could to shift myself, and nothing has worked. I thought I'm broken. There's something. There's no way to help me. And
Mm-hmm.
5 years ago, when we lived in Australia, I my life was about to collapse. I got to the point where again I fell into this habit of working hard. I had the
Mm-hmm.
second child, uh, who was a 1 year old, and I worked about 12, 13 hours a day. And I
Wow.
decided to start a side hustle. And the side hustle was to get me out of the job. But I
Mm-hmm.
ended up working 15-hour days, and I was so disconnected from my kids. I realized I pretty much became my dad. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Angry person,
Mm-hmm.
stressed, fearful, and
Mm-hmm.
I thought there's no way to help. And on that week, I fell asleep a couple of times. I almost created massive accidents at work.
Oh.
And that week, uh, when I got home, I always made a little time to connect with my kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually allowed them to slap me in the face when I was falling asleep you know, to read those bedtime stories. And and that night, it has become again a slapping competition. And I thought,
A slapping competition?
yeah, for them
Oh,
it
because you
was,
were falling asleep.
yeah. So
Yeah.
it was fun, but uh,
Mhm,
I went to cry because I realized that I can't believe I can't be present for my kids
mm,
because I'm exhausted and sleep deprived. And the next morning, my wife asked me, do you want to separate because you are not
Mm,
present today? So what's the point of even having you around when you are either sleeping or you are away working, or when you are at home you're working, and we can't communicate with you, we can't connect with you. We don't think it's a change at all to have you, separated from us. And that
wow,
was,
wait a second. Let's pause for a second. This is very big. So your family, because of all the work you've been doing and you were in this job that you didn't enjoy and you were doing the side hustle and trying to have that grow, your family, your kids, your wife felt separated, and your wife was like, why not? We just might as well physically separate. Wow, Andre,
yeah,
this was all in the space of just a week, right? A few days.
well, it was building up, but the worst part was that I realized even my family is now skeptical about my transformation. I was skeptical, and
Mm-hmm.
now there's no one to support me, there's no one to
Mm.
believe me. And at that point, that, okay, this is my last goal for the rest of my life. I will find a way to rebuild a life that is meaningful, that is
Mm.
fun, which
Mm.
is maybe contributing some way to planet, people, or environment. I didn't know what to do. And
But you knew, you set a goal. I'm going to create a life that is meaningful, that is fun, and that is contributing. You set a goal. And here's the thing, I want y'all to hear what he just said. Like, he was on the verge of everything in his life collapsing. And this is the moment, actually, these are that we call them, like, get on your knees moments, or the moment that you're crying on your kitchen floor or your bathroom floor. And it's like, I can't go on like this, and I get to make a decision, or maybe I'll leave the planet. But you made a decision and a commitment to reinvent your life. And I can't wait to hear all about that. So,
so, yeah, I mean, I haven't told you, but my health was deteriorating as well.
mm,
I should have had to do shoulder replacement or taking
mm-hmm.
steroids. Uh, so it
Yeah.
was a total collapse of, you
Wow.
know, my identity, relationship with my kids, my wife, or losing them. And I think the real topping, the cream on top, was that I was seeing signs that my son, who was 7 or 8 years old at the time, is not believing in himself.
Mm,
And I said, this must be me. It cannot
mm,
be him. If it's coming
yeah.
from me, then I've got to find a way to save him. So that decision to break through all of these challenges has, and the decision was that I will die trying for the
Mm,
next 30 or 40 years of my life. If this
mm-hmm.
is the last thing that I will achieve, then I dedicate my whole life to this.
Mm,
At that point, probably within 6 months. How interesting, huh? Struggling for 30 years, making a decision, commitment 10 out of 10 at that point, and
mm-hmm.
then attracting, finding the right mindset coach to shift my identity, to shift my mindset, my belief in myself. And this Doctor of Self Worth brand has taken off. Probably it was 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And ever since, I've been doing shifts that I needed at age 20, 25,
Mm,
30, 35, and I didn't have anyone to call up on, or I didn't know how to, or who to turn to save myself and save time, struggle, and pain. And
mm.
that's what I do. I'm looking for people who had enough.
Right. You know what my mom says? I'll tell you this, Andre, and thank God she's still alive. And actually, we're going to get to go see her tomorrow, which I'm looking forward to. And my daughter and I are going to see her. But she says, when the shit gets up your nose, then you'll make a change. In other words, it's so deep, it's up to here, right? When it gets that deep, there's just either you're going to be buried in it and you're never going to get out, or you're going to make a commitment to change. And everyone who's watching, I want people to know, one of the reasons I do this show is because I want you to see behind the scenes of highly successful people, and to see behind the scenes in my life too, of the stuff that we've gone through to get where we are. Because most times people look at us and say, wow, that Barnsley Brown, she's a badass. Well, let me tell you, I've been through tons of stuff in my life, as you have, Andre, and as we all have. So, lest anyone here think that it came easy or think that we have it all, we have our shit together. Let me just say, I don't have my shit together. You have your shit together, Andre. I don't have my shit together. You know, we are sharing here from our vulnerability, because when you realize that what's happening in your life, inside of that is your purpose, then you can rise like a phoenix out of that. And that's what you've done, Andre. You realized you were becoming your dad, and you were very nice about what you said about him. He sounds like he had a lot of issues, and you saw yourself becoming him, and you decided, this is not for me. I'm out of here. I'm changing this. And not only am I changing it for me, I'm bringing other people along with me, which is
That's
just a beautiful mission.
changing generational patterns. I think that's what most of us are left with. And if we don't do it, we will just repeat shit
Yes.
over what's not working, passing over struggle, pain, disempowering other people. And there's a saying that I love. It's called, "You will be bleeding on people who have not cut you."
You will be bleeding on people who have not cut you. Okay, that's going in the comments right now. That is powerful. We must change, or you will be bleeding on people. Wow,
Yes, because it's not
who
my
haven't
kid
cut you.
that, I'm carrying all this baggage, the crap from the past. Yet, if I don't deal with this, I don't release it, I don't resolve it, then I'm unfortunately ruining their lives, as it happened to 3 generations looking back. Like I found out the patterns. I think my grandfather was an alcoholic.
Mm-hmm.
So my grandfather has started a rule-based life. He never
Mm,
drank alcohol. He had these, you know, these strict rules about everything he did. Like I
mm,
remember not allowed to drink water until I finished, the dish or the course in his house. Then then these two, my dad and my grandfather, started to fight. My dad was disowned at age 22. That's a
wow.
lot of they couldn't deal with their own things, and they didn't know what kind of help they really needed. And maybe there wasn't much you know in the 60s and 70s,
There
but
wasn't much help available.
probably. And you know what, I'm not here to you know to give names to any practitioners, but I found out yesterday morning I was called out to have a session with a 15-year-old. She's been,
Mm-hmm.
this mother had all of these talks about suicide and
Yep.
anger patterns and
Yep.
activity, and it's been going on for 2 or 3 months. And when I met this boy yesterday morning, he just found himself, found his own identity, who he is outside of his dad's suggestions, let's say, his
Mm,
dad's, expectations. And now
wow.
he's looking for that inner voice. And
Mm,
this took place in 45 minutes. And, you
wow.
know, been seeing psychologists for, I don't know, 5 or 10 sessions. No, really no tangible results as
Yes.
they said, and they were desperate. They were changing his diet. He had all of these craziness going on. and now this boy is his new self. Let's say his original self, restored.
Yes, restored. So this was in one session with this 15-year-old that he became aware,
Exactly.
it sounds like, of his power and his voice,
Hmm.
separate from the dysfunction of his parents. And guess what? I am totally, Andrea, I believe everybody's got dysfunction. I definitely do. Everybody does. You know, I was watching Teal Swan. I don't know if you ever watch her. Very interesting. Let me put it up in the it Teal Swan, and she talks. She's very interesting. You can get her on YouTube, and she travels the world talking about dysfunction and codependency and recovery and all of this. And she just pointed out, and something I was watching the other day, she was pointing out, dysfunction that's normal. We think
Hmm.
that there is a normal family. We have because of TV, because of the media, all this stuff, we think there is a normal family. There is no normal family, you all. There are just gradations of dysfunction. And I happen to have a lot of it. My father was manic depressive. He was also closet gay. He was alcoholic like yours. You had a lot of it with your father being, having a lot of issues, having grown up with your grandfather and having control issues, it sounds like, wanting to
Yeah.
control everything with rules, right? We all have this. But the thing that we get to do when we have this dysfunction is we get to make a conscious decision. You know what? I choose not to live my life that way. It's
Yes.
just as valuable as somebody saying, "Hey, Andre, you should live your life this way." Actually, if I told you, Andre, you should live your life this way, you should travel Europe and so forth. You're traveling Europe because I'm convinced in my head, because you lived with such a controlling father. You're like, fuck that shit. I'm traveling Europe with my kids, and they're going to have play soccer games with other kids they can't even speak the same language of. And they're going to see these sights and they're going to experience the world because of the limitations that you grew up with. What do you think?
I agree, and this is what I'm becoming more and more grateful for all of these
Yeah.
experiences, because now
Yes.
eventually, you know, for 30, 40 years, my life did not make sense. I was suffering so much inside and outside. I said,
Yeah.
I just don't want to be here. I became
Yes.
suicidal at that point, and I was doing all of these dangerous sports to
Mm.
probably unconsciously kill myself, like paragliding and riding,
Wow. Yeah.
like all of these things. And now I say, well, now the journey is something I can share with others. The journey is now meaningful, and probably it is an authentic story to
Mm.
this, the doctor of self-worth. It's so relevant because
Hmm.
a lot of people are having very similar challenges. And I realized the
Yes.
last few years, I didn't know, I was brought up in domestic violence. I realized that
Yes.
that literally fit the
Yes.
nation. I didn't know this. I was not aware
Yes.
of my dad holding on to money, and then, you know, my mom starting up a business and bringing up two kids because she didn't have enough to put on the
Yeah.
table. Like, I thought it was normal,
Mm.
but it's so extreme when
Hmm.
that's all we know as children,
Yes.
innocent souls. As we think that, you know, that's love. Whatever they do, these people who are wounded, they haven't got a clue themselves. They're trying to work out their own shit, and then, as you know,
Yeah.
trying to into that, finding love and support and safety in these uncertain environments have put so many limitations on people for the rest of their lives that we need to liberate them. And the
Yes.
more the better, because every person who is out of their old messy identity is another example of change, of
Hmm.
rapid change that is possible. And as you said, Dr. Bansley, there is two ways to change, I believe. One is when one is aware, and I see more and more people actually saying, well, well, I don't want to get to the edge.
Mhm.
I actually commit now because I see where it leads to. And the other type was me, and maybe in you, when things got to get so bad, so extreme, that
Yes.
change was at that point possible, and there's no choice left at that point. That's the other way to create change.
Yeah. Like there's nowhere else to go. That's what they call in you know, in 12-step programs, hitting bottom. And guess
Absolutely.
what? There's a 12-step program for everything. It's not just AA, you all. You know, I've been a grateful, and I can say this, I say it widely, I've been a grateful member of Al Anon for many years, and I attribute much of who I am to the things I've learned in those rooms from people who had situations far worse than mine and from people who had situations far better than mine, you know? You know, you make so many points there, Andre. I want to just recap for a second. I heard you really saying that as children we don't know. We don't know. We just assume that it's normal. Whatever's going on in our family, you know, dad uh, won't give money to mom, and he controls everything. And he controls her. He won't let her leave the house, whatever. He hits her, or maybe he verbally abuses her. He says horrible things to her. Which reminds me, my ex-husband used to always rag about my hair, Andre. And one day, let me just tell you, and maybe he'll watch this someday, he would be like, why, do you ever comb your hair? No, I don't. My hair will not comb. It's very thick. And so one day I just turned to him and I said, you know, you are the only person who doesn't love my hair. And I smiled. I just smiled just like that. And I just left it at that. He didn't know what to say.
Mm,
But when I was in that relationship, I didn't realize the subtle erosion that had happened to my self-esteem. And I,
mm,
I share this subtle erosion. Like, you know, you go to the beach and the beach is gorgeous. And then you go back the next day and it's gorgeous. And you go back the next day and you don't notice anything. But if you leave the beach for a year and you go back and you're like, this beach is so much smaller because you had that perspective of leaving. Well, no, I was right there. So the erosion was very subtle. So I want to share something, Andre, okay? Because I feel like sharing this. Because I'm like, we fucking need to share real stories with people. Because you all watching, I want you to get something. I don't care who's tried to make you feel little in your life. I do not care who has tried to make you feel like you don't matter. You do, right, Andre? And I'm going to cry when I say that. It's like a fundamental thing to me is that you matter. Every voice matters. And I will go to town for you. I am like a mama bear with those who don't have a voice or haven't found their voice. And I feel that energy in you too, Andre, because we
absolutely.
know what it's like to have no voice.
And you deserve a life that is in another league, even
Yes.
even if you see no chance. Because remember,
Yes.
whatever is looking real to you is probably from your limited self. That's
Mm.
not where you build a life from. You build a life from a shifted mind, which is
Mm-hmm.
connected to possibilities, to synchronicities, a life that is inspired by God or by source or whoever you believe in. But if you don't believe in, if there's no one else believing in you, then go on your with your coach beliefs or Dr. Barnsley's belief or my
Yes.
belief for
Borrow
a,
our belief in you.
for a while until you reconnect to your own beliefs about possibility and about opportunity that you, wherever you come from, however
Mm-hmm.
bad it was, that you have the power to attract, to create. It's already created, let's say. You don't really
Just
have to,
it's already there. We just got to welcome it, right?
yeah,
It's around.
you just need to find out how it comes to you.
Yes.
create enough
And be
value.
open, be good enough to receive it. Know you deserve it.
All it takes is to create value that other people are happily give you in the form of
Yes.
money or other resources that are
Mm-hmm.
just available when you need it. And I've come to see that more and more in my life, where
Mm-hmm.
you will build this trust inside that you are safe. Like, I went to this wonderful little cave the other day, and I
Mm-hmm.
found out there's been human activity. They found traces for 300,000 years. Can you imagine? It's not like you came to
They
Earth
found
like
what? They found what?
three
Sorry, Andre. What did they find?
traces of human activity
I,
for
oh,
300,000
traces of human activity from wow,
300,000 years.
300,000 years.
So if you are around and you're listening to us, it's in your genes that
Yes.
you are looked after, you're taken care of, and there are always others around who will support you, who will help you.
Yes.
It's you've got to believe this, at least.
And seek it out. And I love what you said about, if there's no one around us, and actually oftentimes it's our family who are the worst. They're the naysayers rather than the yay sayers, right? They're trying to keep us safe, but and they have a good intent. They want to try to keep us safe, but they're keeping us in prison basically. When they say, well, don't try to start that business, or, oh, well, go get a secure job. Go get a secure job. When I hear people talk about benefits, oh, I can't leave my job because of the benefits. I'm like, are you kidding me? Look, when you start your own job, at least in your own business, at least in the United States, you'll be able to take 100% of your health insurance, which is the benefit you think you're getting from that work. You can take it off on your taxes. Stop making excuses. Stop waiting. Andre, I call it having a weight problem. WAIT.
I
You
hear you.
have a weight problem, people. If you are using those excuses, and it's also, I mean, how much can we really blame on our parents? I don't know about you, Andre. There comes a point, and it's like, I can't continue to blame my parents. This is my life. I fucked up too, right? And I can't continue to say, well, it's because my dad was manic depressive, or it's because he was gay, but he couldn't live an open life gay, or it's because my brother used to beat me up after my mom hit him. I can't say that anymore.
Mm.
This is the question is, what do you do with it? What do you, those of you watching, what do you do with that crap that has shown up in your life? What do you
Mm.
do with it? Do you let it take you down? Do you become buried in the bullshit? Or do you climb out? Do you climb out? Do you climb out? I hope you climb out. Yeah, I hope you do like Andre did. And then find yourself a coach and borrow their belief in you. You said use the belief of your coach in you, Andre. That is so true. Borrow someone else's belief in you until you believe in yourself.
And get serious. If you want to have a fun and meaningful life, then you don't stop after 3 or 4
Right.
therapists or coaches. I mean, get
Yes.
serious. If you want your best version of life, and some contribution and joy, then
Yes.
you just don't give up. Or,
Yeah.
I mean, you can, but you'll be back to square one. You will
Yeah.
play again, you know, at a basic subsistence level. So
Mm-hmm.
at one point, and it's up to you when, but
Mm.
you might get serious because it's not a rehearsal. It's already your life.
Yes.
Don't
This
think
is
that,
not a rehearsal.
and don't even think you have time, because you don't have time.
Mm.
That's my bad news today. That you'll be so regretful when you realize that you just wanted to buy another week. Well, those weeks will build up to years and decades before you
Yeah.
get triggered enough again to say enough. Enough is not what happened to me, but what I do with this, or how I seek help to deal release, let go of the crap, and then build a life on my terms.
And
My
that requires a lot of self-examination. And, I want to say to everybody, this is not an undertaking to do on your own. I certainly didn't do it on my own. I have 6 coaches now. One of them is a counselor, coach, and hypnotherapist, right? I have 6 coaches, and I would never dare to lead my life without their support and guidance. And, this is not something to do alone. And I do believe that many people are living a life cut off, alone, feeling um, no one's there for them. And the great thing is now we have this industry called coaching. And you can find a coach. You can find a grief support coach. You just lost somebody, find a grief support coach. You can find a coach for self-worth like Andre. You can find a kick-ass business coach who's going to help you also move all that crappy mindset stuff you have going on up here and help show you the way to have your 6-figure or more business fast, like me, fast with fun. So you can find a coach for everything. You can find a coach for birth, giving birth. I mean, there is a coach for everything. Coach for divorce. There's everything, and you can find it and you can get support. We have so many resources that the generations before us did not have. I mean, the stigma of getting therapy, I mean, there was no such thing as coaching. Even those people like Earl Nightingale, who started the self-help movement, all of that stuff was really, there wasn't an aspect of one-on-one coaching with that. If you were lucky, you could find somebody who was an amazing mentor, but it was not an ongoing relationship of deep work, which is what you will get with your coach. So everybody, I really want to encourage you to look at this and ask yourself a question. Do I have a wait problem? Yeah, WAIT. What am I waiting for? Am I waiting for someone else to give me permission to start my own business? Am I waiting for somebody to tell me I'm okay? Am I waiting for somebody to tell me they love me, that I'm lovable? All of the good news is that all of this, we can love ourselves. We can have loving people in our lives. All of this can shift so quickly when we begin to make that commitment. It's like when you make that commitment, suddenly the universe starts throwing people and stuff in your path. Like, Andre, that's how we connected. People come into your path and you're meant to connect with them, and you know it. And you feel this guidance that's happening in your life. And I don't want to get all metaphysical on everyone, but it's like your inner guide, your inner spirit, your inner soul is leading you to what is for your highest and best good, best, happiest life,
And I would want to add that the challenges, the problems that you have is exactly what you need.
Mm.
Find out what's holding you back and to get you to that next stage, that next step to
Yeah.
elevate your life, because there's no coincidences. You
Mm-mm.
you exactly hear us at this very moment if you are live or you're listening to the recording, and the problems are just reflections of your own mind or your own problems in your life. So
Mm-hmm.
to play life at the next level, you've got to resolve them. And if you have a coach problem, because a lot of people are now seeing more and more therapists or
Mm-hmm.
coaches, and I call a coach problem when you're seeing someone for 5-10 sessions and there's basically no change in your life. Then
Mm-hmm.
probably you need to move on, because then, like, whoever's working with me, they shift every session, and I don't want to see them after 10-15 sessions because the work is done.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not here to charge or spend time with them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here to get results and then wave goodbye.
And yeah, wave goodbye with love, like off you go, off you go. Well, I think that's very powerful. And the therapeutic relationship is one, I believe, based largely on dependence. And you go twice a week or once a week, and it's for years and years and years. And this is the therapeutic process in a nutshell, is a lot of going over and rehashing the past. Whereas coaching is like, okay, you gave something this meaning before, something happened and you gave it a meaning or two or three. Let's look at those meanings, and how are they holding you back? What would you like to create in your life? Coaching takes you into the future. Coaching takes you into your future self, your future life that you want. And this is a powerful place to be. It's a place that's exciting to be. And so, I would say to everybody watching, what are you saying to yourself that fills this phrase? I wish I could. I wish I could. I want you to ask yourself, what are you saying to yourself? I wish I could. I wish I could. So I had that habit. I was like, I wish I could go to Europe again. Okay, so yeah. So guess what? My daughter and I are about to leave for over a month. And I wish I could do something business oriented in Paris. Okay, so I'm working one day in Paris. I wish I could. Most people live with I wish I could their whole life. Who are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? Give yourself frickin' permission to have that.
And not know the answers,
Not know
because,
how it's going to happen, even.
but at least define how
Yes.
you can at this point what you want to experience, because if you don't do it, someone else will have a goal plan for you, your boss, your
Yeah.
mom, dad, and
Mm.
you end
Your
up
spouse.
living their life. So
Mm-hmm.
I always say, as your consciousness is taking off, you will have more and more clarity. But without
Mm.
movement, you'll be stuck
Mm.
with your limiting ideas and beliefs about what's possible. So taking some sort of action towards what you want is a must, because that's the way to experience or learn what works and what's not working.
Mm.
So don't worry about looking silly or not knowing the answers,
Mm-hmm.
because that's the way, that's the only way to get it right. And even if you fail or you make mistakes, well, that is the only possible way to learn something.
Right.
There's no other
Right.
way.
We don't suddenly get up and start walking when we're babies. We fall over, we fall over, and we fall over, and we fall over. And then one day we figure out, oh, I could push myself up from the table when I fall over. And then one day we're not falling over all the time, but it's a process. And I have a new client who just came on, Andre, this past week, and she really was getting backed up, and she was very much in her. She has a very exciting mission, very exciting. And she was getting really worried about, can I do this? Oh my gosh, I feel so overwhelmed. And I said, look, borrow my belief in you. And we are going to do this step by step, just like a little toddler, step by step. That's all. We are not going to, shoot you out of a cannon or, throw you, paraglide you super fast over there. I mean, we're going to just do it step by step. And when you do things step by step, it's manageable and you create momentum. You create momentum. And this is what I think is so powerful. When you have a good coach, they're going to break it down for you so it doesn't become overwhelming. Because what you're talking about, Andre, I mean, most people, when you say, what do you want? Most people don't have an answer. And that's the first question, is what do you want? What do you want? I remember this transformational leadership seminar I was in, and we had to just basically scream at our partner, what do you want? We had to keep asking them, what do you want? What do you want? And they would say something, what do you want? What do you want? We went on for like 10 minutes. And then the stuff that starts flying out of your mouth, you're like, whoa, where did that come from? That's cool. I want to write a children's book, ha, which I've just done. Wow. And suddenly the mind stops trying to control, and the stuff that's coming out is just like pure you know?
And
So, Andre, I know you mentioned working with a 15-year-old, and I think that's really cool. I actually want to talk with you about potentially maybe something with our kids. Maybe we could even do a trade, because I love working with teenagers too. But of course, I can't work with my own teenager. Neither can you. It's better for them to work with someone else, right? But to have someone else coach them, because otherwise it's just mom. Um, but you love working with kids and teenagers, and I'm guessing that one of the major reasons you love this, not only do you have two teenagers, right, preteen and teenager, but also because you wish you'd had this earlier in your life, what you know now, earlier in your life. Like you wish you'd had you, Andre, in your life earlier to coach you.
now I have to make this up. Yes. So I'm really setting them up for life and
Mm-hmm.
to take life as it comes from a place of power, from a place of inner strength, to be
Yeah.
able to get excited, passionate, and create the experiences they want. Uh, of course, it's done my way or to my best outcomes or experiences that I'm giving them. But the example is that, hey, it's possible. If you
Mm-hmm.
decide to travel for a year and a half, you can. If you decide to do something extraordinary, or there's something you don't want to do, and they at homeschooling they have choice. They
Mm,
they help us to create the plan.
mm,
We can shift time around when we are doing so exciting stuff. Then they have a backlog, but it is a choice. So
mm,
I was pondering the other day about, well, when I went to school, it was like, this is the plan, you have to do
mm.
this, and then you will have these exams, and then you have these certificates. Well, no one asked me, well, what do you want?
What do you enjoy?
Like, that was not on the cards. And,
Mm,
you know, seeing my children, and we do have that conversation. I don't know where we're going tomorrow. Probably we're going to the Thessaloniki Illusion Museum, where they will be
mm,
mesmerized by things that they've never seen before. Or
mm,
whether we do again, history, Greek history, or maybe we go on the beach. But I I want to give them a voice. I want to give them, you know, a vote in the family meeting before
yeah.
that decision is made. And
Mm,
that empowers them. It gives them a voice later in life, because every
yes.
experience is is building beliefs at
Mhm,
a age. So if you have
mm,
children, then remember, unconditional love is a must
mhm.
to operate from. But the example that came up when you talked about coaching was, these wind tunnels. Have you seen indoor paragliding or indoor
No.
skydiving? You
I've seen
haven't?
indoor skydiving, but not indoor paragliding.
Sorry. So
Mhm.
in skydiving, Dr. Glasgow, one of the best metaphors for coaching,
Ah,
because
yeah, because there's a container.
yeah, it's a
Got
safe
it.
environment, and you're
Yeah.
practicing something very, very extreme, right? Like,
Yeah,
you don't get to fly in the wind. Well,
right.
if you do well, there's no problem throwing you out of an airplane. And actually, that is the plan, to get
Yeah.
you so confident about whatever you want to do that you will fly when you are thrown
Mhm,
out into the dungeon, into
mhm.
the sea of challenges, that you will be able to conquer, master, and resolve at
Yes.
time level of self-worth and confidence.
Mm.
have this I can do this attitude. So
Right.
your psychology is not affected. And I think this piece is the most important one. When you are so optimistic, they cannot beat you.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, consider, for example, Nelson Mandela for years and years, and the greatness of his spirit. And he was not incarcerated. In his mind, he was not incarcerated. So he was not incarcerated because he was not incarcerated in his mind. How many times do we limit ourselves? And I'm always saying to my clients, Andre, I'm always saying, look, I can tell you all sorts of business strategies about marketing, etc. But the thing is, if your mindset is not in the right place, you're never going to implement. And so many people are just taking online courses, or they're going to a seminar, and it's great. And the seminar is great, rah, rah, rah. But then there isn't that daily support that is required for change. Look, I don't like say to my daughter, oh, I'm going to parent you one day a month and just expect her to be okay. You know, it doesn't work that way. We all need that ongoing support, and really daily support, daily accountability to our dreams is huge. So Andre, tell us really quickly as we kind of wrap things up here, or start to wrap things up. Tell us quickly kind of how it looks to work with you. You mentioned like you want to work with people no more than maybe 15 sessions, and sometimes it's only one session that's needed to shift them. So tell us
Well,
how it looks to work with you. How what does it look like?
it's very simple. I do have a website, www.doctorofselfworth.com, and it's 95% done. Not every link is working yet, but what really happens is when you reach out to me, we'll have a chat, and I want to
Mhm.
hear your story of what you are dealing with, what's not working, what's working. And I'm very selective. I do not work with people who are not committed, and
Mhm.
I love to help those who are ready for transformation, and I love to help those who are not ready for transformation. I just don't work with them one on one or in a group. So
Right.
I have resources available for you on my free channels, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. There's a Facebook group as well. And
What's the
and
name of the Facebook group, Andre?
it's called Transform Your Self-Worth to experience abundance in your life. I'll send it to you because I want to make sure I'll give you
You
the
have the
right name.
right one.
It's
Okay.
slightly different
And
on.
and you said doctorofselfworth.com, right? www.doctorofselfworth.com. Is that right? I put it up in the
Correct.
chat. Yeah, you can actually go back in and you can add it in the comments for people so they can join that free Facebook page. And like you said, you work with the people who are really ready to get going one on one. I'm the same way. But those who aren't ready yet, we're going to send you to free resources, or we're going to send you to some sort of online program, etc., that you can do, that's going to just warm you up, right, and get you into a place closer to readiness. So we
Hmm.
have a lot to offer everybody that is not necessarily working one-on-one, because I realize that can be really scary to people. I mean, when you're taking yourself on and you're taking on old generational patterns, and you're taking on things that have been difficult in your life, let's be real, this takes bravery and courage and support. It takes a lot of bravery, courage, and support. And then guess what? You begin step by step to become even more of a badass. Hence our title, Bold Badass Business Owners, which is not only the people I interview, but those of you watching. So, Andre, they can find you there. And I want to encourage everyone to go to Andre's YouTube channel. What's the name of the channel, Andre? Is it Entre Hoffman or Doctor of Self Worth?
It's the easiest to find. It is at Doctor of Self-Worth, and
Mm-hmm.
I have a podcast as well. It's called The Heroes Podcast, where I share very similar stories to Dr.
Yes.
Bowsley, is showing people that, hey, no matter how bad you've got it, there is a breakthrough right in front of you if you choose it
Mhm.
and you do what it takes. So
Mm,
my guests have gone through terrible, terrible phases in their lives, trauma, and they turned it around to have a meaningful life of contribution, of joy, and having fun, living life on their terms.
I
What
love
more can
that.
I? And that's my wish and my goal for every one of my clients to live free.
Mm. Free and happy. Free and happy according to your standards, according to your values, according to what's important to you, and not what somebody else told you is important. So I put up subscribe to your channel, which is youtube.com at Doctor of Self-Worth, right?
Right,
Correct?
yes.
Is that right?
You
And
can
also, you all don't forget, subscribe to my channel. Oh, we had someone just say amen. Yes, yes, yes. I'm so glad you're here, Sonia. Thanks for tuning in. And I really hope you listen to the whole thing because this has been very powerful. We're really happy to see you. And please like and share this. And everybody watching, because I know a lot of people watch this over the weekend. Everyone watching, like it, love it, put some hearts, comment. Don't just watch unengaged, comment, affirm something, share your ahas. What do you identify with that's been shared today? Um, and yes, great. Sonia says she'll check it out. And subscribe to my channel too, so you don't miss any episodes, you all, of Bold Badass Business Owners. I always have so much fun saying that. It just makes me happy to say it. It's like bold, badass business owners. We are bold and we are badass. And those of you watching and tuning in every week, well, guess what? You're bold and badass. And every time you tune in, every episode is giving you another boost of badassery. Now that's a word, badassery. I love it. So make sure you subscribe there, and mine is YouTube. YouTube. I'm trying to talk and type at the same time. .com at Dr. Barnsley NC. Oh, thank you. Sonia says she misses my singing. I was just singing to my clients earlier, Sonia. You'll laugh because one of the best ways that when you're getting really serious and you're like all backed up in your bullshit, this is for everybody. One of the best ways to get out of it is you're like, I got the power. Oh, yeah. I got the power. And so we started doing this beatbox thing in my coaching, Andre, with my group. And we were like, and guess what? You start laughing. It's funny, but it also gets you out of that analytical mind that wants to just shut down, that feels not good enough. So I want to say to every hell yes, she says, hell yes, Sonia, curse it out, girlfriend. What I want to say, you all, is find yourself a theme song. Find yourself a theme song that means something to you. And at those moments when you feel like you cannot go on, or you feel like, God, there's so many ass wipes in my life, or you feel like you're going to collapse, or you don't want to be on the planet. I've been there too, Andre. There was a moment I didn't want to be on the planet either. And I shared this with you. By the way, I'm on Andre's show, the Heroes Podcast, in early July, right? Andre, it's going to air. Is that right?
It's on. It's been
Right?
released.
Oh, it's already on. Well, you all, I
Yeah.
just want to tell you, I talked about some shit with Andre I've never talked about ever on the air. And why? Because Andre is just so present. You're so present, Andre, and you're so loving. And you're just such a good listener, right? And you just brought things out of me that I have never talked about. So those of you who know me, get your arse over there, as Shakespeare would say, and listen to that on the Heroes podcast. Listen to it. I want to let you in on the behind the scenes, just as Andre has let you in on the behind the scenes today and talked about when his whole life was collapsing and how you took that moment and you turned it around. You didn't fall down and stay down.
Yes. It's a decision. And committing is the
Mm,
hardest thing to do. We know that. But you know what's good? When you're committing, it triggers you. It
yeah.
triggers what's in the way. So
Mm,
yeah, find an inspiration about Dr. Barnsley. Look for hashtag the Heroes podcast and hashtag Doctor of Self-Worth, and it will come up on basically most social media platforms, and then you'll be able to listen to it because it was full of gold. I've heard from Dr. Barnsley, it blew me away. So you've got to listen.
Well, it blew me away because you're such a great interviewer. We need a mutual. I mean, I'm. This is no BS, Andre. I'm serious, and I know just from your presence that you're an awesome coach. So everyone on here, reach out to Andre because he's offering you, like, I think, a quick little free consult. What the fuck do you have to lose? Seriously. And I also offer a free consult called the Get Results Now consult. What the fuck do you have to lose? I'll tell you what you have to lose. You have to lose your weight, WAIT problem. Drop my, I got so excited.
You lost your
Whoopsie.
mic. Yeah, so I give away 45 minutes that I have.
Boy, oh boy. Oh shit.
Right
there it is.
Around me.
I got so excited that I dropped my mic and my headphones fell out. Okay, I'm such a goofball. And you know what? We don't want purple. We don't want perfect people. We don't like perfect people, right, Andre? Nobody likes a perfect person. So on this show, we just let it all hang out. We let it all hang out. We pull back the red curtain, the velvet curtain, and let you see the back side of every story. Not the butt, but the back drop, the back side of every story. So Andre, you're such oh wow, look at this. They're right. Oh, thank you both for not giving up. The world needs you. We're getting some beautiful comments. Oh, I'm getting chills. Thank you, Sonia. I love you too. And guess what? Everyone here, you matter. Your voice matters. Your message comes out of your mess. In your collapse, as Andre has shared with us, you have the choice to commit. And also what you just said, Andre, when you commit, all the shit that's in the way is going to come right up and you're going to be triggered. So expect that and be happy because it means you've committed. When that bullshit comes up and you're like, I feel scared. Oh my God, can I do this? I'm not good enough. Oh, what's going to happen? Guess what? That's coming up because you've committed to something bigger. And your mission, who you are on the planet, has to be bigger than your fear.
And that's when you need a coach.
Yeah. And we will never let you fall through the cracks. I can say that. Andre will never let you fall through the cracks. And I will not let you fall through the cracks either. So that's why we chose what we did, because I love supporting people. You know, one of the major reasons I love supporting people, Andre, is because I didn't have that much of it as a kid. It came from my teachers. I felt like you, largely ignored. And my counselor pointed out it was really like emotional neglect. I mean, she gave me this sheet. I read it and I was like, oh gosh, I have all of this. And I had this epiphany. Oh my God, I experienced neglect. Now, it wasn't neglect in terms of food or shelter. It was emotional neglect.
Fine.
Yeah. Andre, I appreciate you so much. You're such a bright light. Thank you from everyone for being up at now. What time is it? It's like 12:35. You are up in the early morning in Greece just to talk to us. Thank you for giving your time. Everyone, do not miss out on that complimentary session. Get your arse over to www.thedoctorofselfworth.com and also get your arse over to my YouTube channel and his and subscribe so you don't miss any of that. And remember, I also will offer you my complimentary Get Results Now session. Stop waiting. Stop waiting, everybody. Stop waiting and hoping. You're a business badass or you wouldn't be watching. Andre, let me just thank you again. You're such a joy to be with. I just appreciate your heart and I appreciate your honesty and I appreciate how in touch you are with your own soul. And we just are so thankful for you.
Thanks for
everybody.
That. Yeah. They say he.
All right, everybody. So Auf Wiedersehen. Hasta luego. Hasta la vista. And I'll see you next week on Bold Badass Business Owners. And thank you again, Andre, for giving us such a powerful message. Bye all.